All right, as we go over the must starts this week, we're going to start with the quarterbacks and go with Mike White. Mike White's going against the Vikings defense, giving up the 5th most points to opposing quarterbacks. Last week, he stepped in for Zach Wilson, and boy, did he not disappoint. 22 for 28, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's looking for his man, Garrett Wilson. He had immediate connection with him. He's driving the ball up and down the field, getting first downs, getting touchdowns. Didn't have too many 3 and outs. The guy seems like he was doing very well. He had limited starts last year. Actually did pretty well last year as well. This year's coming in. Looks like he has command of this offense. Looks like he will be the starting quarterback going forward. I would definitely look at him as a must start this week. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert going against the Raiders defense, giving up the 2nd most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. He should really throw all over this Raiders defense. I mean, he may be without Mike Williams again this week due to an ankle injury. He's going to try to play. I think he's in limited practice right now. He does have Keenan Allen to throw to. If he gets Mike Williams back, it's just going to be that much better for him against this Raiders defense that I don't think Justin Herbert's going to be slowed down quite a bit. He's going to be throwing touchdowns all game long. Get him in your lineups. The next quarterback we're going to go over is Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo going against the Dolphins defense, giving the 3rd most points to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, the team is just filled with yards after carry playmakers. They're yak monsters over there. I mean, anywhere from Brandon Ayuk all the way down the field. I mean, it doesn't matter who he has on his team. Even George Kittle, I think, is going to really get into the mix this week. So he's going to need to throw for a ton of yards just to keep up with this Dolphins offense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle on the other side with Tua Tagovailoa is just throwing all over the field with these guys. Jimmy Garoppolo could be somebody you get in there. He's not going to be a game manager. He's going to have to push the ball down the field and get it in the hands of these playmakers so they can get some yards after the carry, yards after the catch, I should say. Get Jimmy Garoppolo in your lineups. Let's go ahead and switch gears now, go to the running backs. Talk about David Montgomery. He's going against the Packers defense, giving up the 7th most yards per game to opposing running backs. He is really the focal part of this run game. I mean, not sure if Fields is even going to play this week. I think he's trying to practice, but it doesn't look really good for him to play this week. And if he doesn't, David Montgomery will definitely be the complete focal part of this offense. I believe he had 14 carries last week, so he should be able to get plenty of work this week. Get David Montgomery in your lineup as a must start this week. Next, we're going to stay in the same game, but go over to the Packers team. We're going to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones going against the Bears defense, giving up the 6th most points per game to opposing running backs. I mean, he should continue to be the man for this offense. It really doesn't matter who the quarterback is going to be, whether it's going to be Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones is going to get his carries. He's going to get his yards. He's a really, really good play this week, even though they say, hey, wait, Bears defense is still not too shabby, but he played the Bears in week 2, had 132 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Get him in your lineups. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be Nick Chubb going against the Texans defense, who gives actually the most points to opposing running backs. I mean, they're going to have Deshaun Watson back this week, but I see Deshaun Watson, even though he's going against his old team in the Texans, they're going to ease him back in the game shape. He hasn't played in almost 2 seasons. They're not going to go in there and have 20 attempts at 40 attempts, 50 attempts. It's not going to happen. He's going to have limited on his attempts, maybe keep some drives alive, but it's going to be the Nick Chubb show against the Texans. He's a must start this week. Again, shifting gears. Now we're going to the wide receivers, and we're going to talk about Christian Watson. Watson going against the Bears defense, who, yes, they are giving up the 10th fewest points per game to opposing running backs. But again, like I was talking about Aaron Jones, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Even Jordan Love, he's the one that threw the big bomb touchdown to Watson last week. I mean, he is on a fantasy tear right now. There's no way that you can sit Watson if you have him on his team. He's going week in and week out, 15, 20 points a game. He's killing it right now. You have to keep Christian Watson in your lineup, even though he's going against a Bears team that actually has been really good against opposing wide receivers. Now we're going to go over to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase did try to play last week. He ended up not going. I think he will be going this week up against the Chiefs, who give up the 7th most points per game to opposing wide receivers. I mean, he is just a dynamic duo with Burrow. It looks like these guys are going to step on the field and pretend like no one was even gone anywhere. They're going to have to put up a lot of points. Patrick Mahomes on the other side is going to be throwing up quite a few points. Look for Jamar Chase to be a must start this week. Now, the last wide receiver we're going to talk about today is going to be Christian Kirk. Kirk going up against the Lions defense, giving up the third most points to opposing wide receivers. I mean, he should completely eat against this defense. I mean, he should be the recipient of a throwing frenzy Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence is known to put up a lot of points, and I'm telling you, he goes to Kirk. Kirk's averaging 10 receptions a game or 10 targets a game. The guy is a beast. I mean, he came over from the Cardinals, and he is showing out as the #1 wide receiver. He definitely is a must start this week. Now we're going over to the tight end position. The first must start at tight end that I'm going to talk about is going to be George Kittle. George Kittle going up against the Dolphins defense, giving up the third most points per game to opposing tight ends. I mean, let's look at a couple weeks ago. He was amazing against the Cardinals. Well, they're terrible against the tight end. Last week, he was terrible against the Saints, but they're great against the tight end. This week, he gets the Dolphins defense, and they're terrible against the tight end. It looks like the trend will continue. He will have a monster game. Get George Kittle in your lineup. Now we're going to go over to Pat FREIERMUTH going against the Falcons defense, giving up the 10th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He's not really having the season that owners are really hoping for from FREIERMUTH, but it is growing pains. He should be able to take advantage of Pickett's growth week in and week out. And then the Falcons defense is just a terrible defense. So get Pat FREIERMUTH in your lineups. I think he's going to have a good game this week. The last tight end we're going to talk about here is Gerald Everett. Everett going against the Raiders defense, giving it the 7th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He should have a nice fantasy week this week. I mean, he keeps getting 4 to 5 receptions consistently. He's not the guy who's going to be blowing the top off, giving you a monster game, but he's also got a safe floor. Like I said, 4 to 5 receptions, pretty consistency week in and week out. Just get Everett in your lineup, and you'll be happy that you did. Now onto the Bengal Tigers starts of the week. The first Bengal Tiger start of the week at the quarterback position, we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence going against the Lions defense, who gives up the most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, he's going to make the Lions look like even more trash than they are. Trevor Lawrence knows how to get the ball down the field, especially to Christian Kirk. He's going to have a good game. Get Trevor Lawrence. He's definitely the Bengal Tiger start of the week at the quarterback position. Next, at the running back position, we're going to talk about Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce going against the Browns defense, who's given up the 2nd most points per game to opposing running backs. Dameon Pierce has struggled as of late, okay? He hasn't looked like what he was when he started to break out. Looks like he's slowing down just a little bit. But the Browns can't stop the inside run, and what do the Texans do 77% of the time? They run on the inside. Dameon Pierce should have a monster game. It's going to all be about Deshaun Watson this, Deshaun Watson that, and I think Dameon Pierce steals the show. The next Bengal Tiger start of the week we're going to talk about is Garrett Wilson. Wilson going against the Vikings defense, giving up the 5th most points per game to opposing wide receivers. As long as Zach Wilson sits, Garrett's going to shine. It doesn't matter if it was Joe Flacco earlier in the season and now it's White. I mean, this guy is balling out. Just looks like Zach Wilson isn't the quarterback that should be in the NFL right now, and Garrett Wilson can eat as long as there's a quarterback competent enough to get him the ball. He did very well last week, and I think he's going to do very well this week against this defense. Get Garrett Wilson in your lineup. He's definitely a Bengal Tiger start of the week. Now, last but not least, let's go over the tight end at Bengal Tiger start of the week. It's going to Dalton Schultz. Schultz going against the Colts defense, giving up the 15th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He had 2 touchdowns last week on Thanksgiving. He has this natural connection with Dak Prescott. Dalton Schultz was amazing top 5 tight end last season. It looks like he's really coming up into form now that he's healthy, Dak's healthy. They have that connection. Get him in your lineup. He's going to have a monster game this week.